What's good, YouTube? It's Draco here, and I got one more deck profile of 3 today. I know, this is crazy. Most I've done in, like, a long-ass time, honestly. So, this is going to be a deck profile on True Draco Metal Foe Zefra, or Draco Metal Zefra, as a shorter way of naming it. So, this is a deck that I've always been interested in, like, for several months now. Just, like, the fact that the Metal Foes, the Dracos, and the Zefras all, like, synergize so well. Before Electromite, it was neat. It had some cute play, but I didn't think it was particularly amazing. After Electromite, though, this deck is insane. It has an absurdly high ceiling. It can put out absurdly powerful boards that I would say are borderline unbreakable. It does have some issues with consistency, just because like sometimes there's like too many moving parts. It breaks. You get the wrong things. You run a lot of cards that you don't really want to draw. But I feel like if this could be figured out, like how to make this like optimal, this has potential to be the best deck in the format. Like it's just that strong. It's got like it has like all of the best cards of the format in it. It's got Heavy Metal Foes Electromite because of Pendulums. It's got Masterpiece. It's got Astrograph Sorcerer. It's just got so much good shit going for it, and like it just has like some consistency issues compared to like other Pendulum decks. But I don't think it's like inconsistent to the point of like unplayability or anything. Like, and so yeah, I tried. This is one I was discussing with another user, Pojo Tenrai, and also is his name. Two the users we've just been like talking about this on the Metal Flows thread, and really, we've been trying a bunch of different things. We've tried a bunch of different engines, cards like Emergency Teleport, the Supreme Kings. I tried like a massive Zefra engine and like 60 card decks. I tried like the Cliff Forts for Cyber Dragon Infinity. They all kind of worked, but they didn't really solve any problems I was having with the deck, which was just like some hands that are just clumpy, and like the increasing the size of the deck made it so like I drew things. Drew undesirable cards less often, but I also felt like it also made it less likely for me to get all 3 pieces of the deck together, which are the Metals, the Zefras, and the Dracos. And I feel like that's one of the paradoxes of the deck, is that you don't want to draw all these like bricks and garnets, but you kind of have to play a smaller deck count just so you get all the pieces together, because like it's really weird where the Zefras work really well with the Metal Foes, and the Metal Foes work really well with the Dracos, but the Dracos and the Zefras don't entirely mesh. So, like, if you like the Metal Foes is like the key that pieces them together. So if you're missing one of the pieces, like especially if you're missing the Metal Foes, then you're like actually just screwed. If you're missing the Zefras, you can still play like Metal Draco. You just won't have like the defensive core of the Zefras. And then if you have the metals in the Zefras, you can do stuff with that, but you don't have the aggression and power that the Dracos have. So you kind of want to strike the balance where you have all of them together. And I feel like the best way to do that is honestly play like as small like that count as possible. So I'm playing 42 cards right now in this final version. I did play 60 cards once, and it was really fun. It was really cool, but I think this is a little better. And like we tried a bunch of other stuff. Like I know Tenrai is like really big on Luster Pendulum and Emergency Teleport. I honestly don't see the appeal in either. Maybe it's just me not noticing something, or maybe it's just me playing it differently. But yeah. Without further ado, let's get into it. I'll show off the deck and the extra deck, and then I'll show like one of the main bread and butter combos that is like just creates such an absurdly powerful board. So yeah. So for the Metal Foes, I go all in on these right now. I play 3 Full Flame, 3 Gold Driver, 3 Silvered, 3 Steelin, and 2 Bismugear. I originally wasn't playing Steelin. I actually, like, I've been on and off with him, but, like, right before this deck profile, I actually just threw him back in, because I was testing hands, and, like, the only hands in this deck that I believe are truly unplayable are ones where you do not see any Metal Foes. Like, even if you open, like, a bunch of Metal Foes and literally nothing else, you can at least, like, work that into an Electromite, and then, like, make a play off of that. But, like, so I just decided that I would just put in the Steel, just so as long as I see a Metal Foes, I can play the game, I feel. Still only 2 Bismugear because I don't like seeing multiples of it, and ideally you want to search it, but you also just like having the name. And there's no Archfiend Eccentric or Painful Decisions or anything in the deck, so maxing out on the metal foes aside from Bismuth, which you play 2 of, I think is a really good idea. Yeah, so. And then for other pendulums, we have the best monster in the game, Astrograph Sorcerer. This card is fucking nuts in this deck. Because, like, any of the metal foes will trigger him. He replaces any metal foes you pop, and then, like, obviously there's the standard Electromite plays with him. He's so absurd. And, like, this deck, the standard play makes Electromite after you Pendulum Summon, and, like, it works out in this deck. But Astrograph being able to allow you to make an Electromite before you Pendulum Summon is also really powerful, so there's, like, that going for it, too. Like, Astrograph is just fucking incredible in this deck, and part of the reason I think the ceiling is so high. And then, for Zefra's, it's a really small Zefra core compared to, like, the pure Zefra deck I posted. The only monsters are the one Zefrath and the Zefranius. So, like, Zefranius is not horrible to draw. You never want to use it to scale because it's scale 7 and it locks you out of anything that's not a Zefra, so it's actually completely useless. But, like, you can use it to pop. It's, like, pop it with a Metal Foes and then Pendulum Summon it back and get a search. There are combos you can do with Zefrath where you can use Zefrath as scale because it doesn't lock you out of them metals. It kind of contradicts with Volflame because Volflame's level 7, but for the most part it's not the biggest problem. Generally, like, you want to search out Zefrath for, like, with Oracle for combos, but, like, if you hard draw the Zefranius, it's not bad. So, like, the Zefras in this deck, I feel, will fill a similar role to what engines like the Magispectors, the Cliffworts, and the Zodiacs did for Metal in the past, where they were the starter cards, or, like, the enablers, or the fuel, I guess, where they were the cards that you popped with the Metal Foes to get your game going, and then when they also, like, when you Pendulum Summon them back, they gave you, like, the defensive core that let you, like, grind out and hold on. Like, you would make Cyber Dragon Infinity, or you'd summon Kirin, or you'd make Drident. Zephyrs do the same thing. You search out a counter trap, and, like, since they're Pendulum monsters, you can also fuse with them. And, like, they're your defensive core, and they're also, like, they are the cards that you pop with the Metal Foes to get your game started. So, yeah. It's, like, it is, like, doable if you don't draw a Zefra card to get everything going, but it's significantly more annoying to pop things without the Zefras, so, yeah. And then 2 Masterpiece for the Draco engine. This card is, like, still really dumb. Like, it's a nuisance. And then Ash Blossom, most generic hand trap. Really. And that's all the monsters. For spells, it's 3 Terraforming, 1 set rotation, because I play 3 Diagram, 2 Oracle Zefra, and a Zephyr Providence. So, I know, I think Tenrai and that guy, both, like, or at least Tenrai I know he only does 1 Oracle and no set rotation. I like set rotation just because it's, for all intents and purposes, a 4th Terraforming for Diagram. You don't really want to use set rotation to grab Oracle and Zephyr, but you can use it to grab Diagram. And also, if your opponent is playing a field spell deck, which is a lot, you know, it's Draco or the Mirror or Trickstar, you can just, or Invoked, you can just set the Oracle of Zefra, and, like, it's not bad to draw Oracle of Zefra in this deck because it is an engine card. So I really like set rotation in this. Also, it's another way to just grab Zefra stuff, which I think is important. Zephyr Providence is pretty neat in this deck. You play it as a 1-of, because ideally you want to grab it off of Zefranio, and then you're gonna use, and then from there you play it and you grab Zephyr Divine Strike. But if you happen to hard draw it, it is essentially a 3rd copy of Oracle of Zefra, because you can just search that out instead. And then when you play Zefranio, you just search Divine Strike directly. So this is essentially this is the 4th Terraforming for Oracle of Zefra, or you can see it as the 3rd Oracle of Zefra, and then set rotation is the 4th Terraforming for Diagram, or, like, the 4th Diagram, I guess. So, I don't know, it's really cool, it works out. Yeah, for sure. And then other spells would be the 1 Heritage. The standard play in this deck, you end up tributing combination, not heritage, for Masterpiece. But if you like already hard drew Masterpiece, you can search this, and if you're going for us, this is better. Just be spell immune with Masterpiece. But you can also, if you are forced to use up your normal summon, you can usually end up bouncing Diagram or like getting a second Diagram and then searching this and then summoning Masterpiece anyway. So like heritage just has the utility, and it's like just a good card to have to search out when you need it. And also, if you hard draw it with a Metal Foes, this becomes another Metal Foes, because like you like play the Metal Foes, you pop the heritage, you set combination, then heritage triggers and destroys the combination and searches another Metal Foes. So there's also that. It's not the best play, but it is an option if you end up like just drawing heritage. And then the last ones are the two Metal Foes spells: Metal Foes Fusion, Full Metal Foes Fusion. So yeah. And then there's only 4 traps. It's 3 combinations. This card is absurd with the Dracos. Like, the Dracos alone make this infinitely better than counter. And then 1 Divine Strike. I don't play 9 Pillars, just because more often than not, Zefra is not going to stay on the board. Like, before Electromite, I did play 9 Pillars, because I would Zefra and then I would grab 9 Pillars, and I'd set it, and I'd pass, usually. But with this, like, more often than not, Zefra is either going to be used for Electromite or it's going to be used for a fusion summon, so, like, it almost never stays on the board. So I just sort of decided to play the 1 Divine Strike. I did consider playing 2 Divine Strikes, that way I just have something else to search again, but I feel like that it just added another brick, and really, like, the 1 Divine Strike is all you need, and then after that, hopefully you set up a board that's strong enough that, like, you just don't need to get the second one, because this deck puts out a huge amount of, like, power and aggression and pressure. So yeah, that's a main deck. Extra deck is 2 Electromites, obviously. This card is extra dumb in this deck, because not only does it work with all the pendulum stuff, it is also a Metal Foes monster, so you can fusion summon with it. Like, it's the combo I'm going to show you involves using this as a fusion material and then shuffling it back with it. It's so fucking insane. This card is extra powerful in this deck. And then Decode Talker, like, ideally you don't want to actually use Decode Talker because you want to fuse with Electromite, but sometimes there are, like, either your hand is so good or so bad that you don't actually have to use the Electromite, or you can't use the Electromite, and then for there, if you end up having a Vortex Dragon play, you can, like, do Decode Talker instead. Yeah. And then 1 Borreload. I don't really think this comes up often, but it's probably the best Link 4 to have. So, you know, I'm afraid it might be difficult to do just because it requires effect monsters, and all the Metal Foes are normals, but hopefully that doesn't really become an issue. But I don't really see it. This is more like a situational thing. There's a lot of flex space in the extra deck, because there's only a few cards that like are mandatory, which are like these guys. And then like the fusions. But the last Link I play is 1 Doolittle Chimera. I got this idea from, there was a Metal Foes True Draco deck. It didn't have Zephyrs in it, but it was Metal Draco, and it won the Fort Worth Regional this weekend. And he played 1 Doolittle Chimera because it was a way to, if you had a fusion monster in your extra monster zone, you had like another Metal Foes, you could link them into Doolittle Chimera, and it gives you the space and it triggers the like Orichalc or Mithrilium or whatever you had there. And I thought that was really cool, because in a couple of hands I was like, well, I'm stuck because I'm a metal in the extra monster zone and I can't do anything with it. So I really like that idea. So just the 1 of Doolittle Chimera seems pretty neat. And then if it dies, you can just like put a metal back in your hand, which is cool. That's all the Link monsters. I actually think it's exactly 5 Links, 5 Fusions, and 5 Xyzs, which is hilarious. There's no Synchros because I'm not playing Luster Pendulum. If I was, I would be playing Ignister, but that would be like the only thing. But I could not bring myself to like Luster Pendulum. It just didn't seem right to me. It's really good if you draw it with Astrograph, but it's 2 unsearchable cards. I don't want to rely on hard drawing. So the only Metal Fusions you play are 2 Mithrilium, 1 Orichalc, and 1 Full Metal Foes Alcahest. Like, Mithrilium is the only one you need more than 1 copy of. Just because it's like the main one, and you use it in your opening combo, and then you can use the second one to shuffle 1 back. I've seen some people play 3, but I don't really think you could play 3 just because there's space in the extra deck, but I think there are better options. Orichalc, you only really need 1. Alcahest has always been a 1 of, really. You could run Crimsonite and Adamante, but I don't think they would ever really come up in good situations, so The main thing I would use them for is just to, like, fusion summon for, like, if I had to use non-metals, but usually if I'm doing that, whatever I'm having on the board is probably better than the Adamante, honestly. And then the last fusion is Odd Eyes Vortex. So, the XCs and, like, the last part of the deck, the only one that's really necessary is, like, the Absolute Zero, or Absolute Dragon to make Odd Eyes Vortex Dragon. And this combo, like, it doesn't come up as often as in Magician or Zefra. Like, it's not a vital piece of the play, but it's one where, like, if it comes up, you might as well do it. And sometimes, like, if you don't open Zefras, like, you might need to do it. So, like, it's just good to have. But I did realize, like, there's, like, 3 different ranks you can make in this deck. You can make 7s, 6s, 4s, and, like, kind of 3s. So, like, you could run, like, a rank 6, like Ptolemy M7 or Utopia the Beyond or something like that. And then for rank 4s, you can run, like, Tornado Dragon and Baguska. And then I guess if you really wanted to rank 3, you could play Break Sword. But I feel like those were all, like, really situational, because especially the 4s and 3s, because your only 4 is Gold Driver, and your only 3 is Silvered. I felt like it was more likely that I would make more rank 7s, because I'm running 6 of them. I'm running 3 Volflame and 3 Astrograph, and they're really easy to search. So I ended up just running a bunch more rank 7s that are all honestly still really situational, which is, like, the second Absolute Dragon, so there's 2 of them in the deck, just like in Zefra, and then Raging Dragon to go with the second Absolute. And then the same cute play of you can swing, negate, and then revive Vortex Dragon if it died. And then I had 2 more slots, so I just put in Draco Sack and Big Eye. Like, I really feel like these won't come up that often, but, like, Big Eye can just take something and then you can link with everything to make Borreload, or, like, Draco Sack can make tokens, and then, like, I don't know what you would do with the tokens, because you can't use them for Borreload. If I saw a Saryuja in the deck, you could use them for that, but I don't know. There's, like, the last 3 or 4 spots in the deck are all, like, really, like, you can do whatever you want, because, like, these were all stuff that, like, these were the 5 cards that I put in just because I had the space. Like, these are the ones that, like, I feel are necessary. The Electromize, the Decode, the Chimera, and then the 4 fusions, and then the Vortex combo. Everything else, I think, is, like, flexible, and you can put whatever you want in. Like, this deck has a lot of options, especially in the extra deck, and there's so many ways you could do it, but, like, this deck's ceiling is absurdly high. It can put out so much damage, so much pressure, unbreakable boards, all that stuff. I do think if people figure it out, it could be the best deck in the game. It does have some issues with consistency, though, from what I've tested, and just being clumpy, but usually you can make a lot of stuff work. So I'm going to show the one combo, like one of the combos that makes this so great. So if you open one of the low-scale metals, which would be Gold Driver or Silvered, and then if you draw Oracle of Zefra, which could be Zefra Terraforming or Zefra Providence, and then Diagram, which could be Diagram or Terraforming. So you got, like, 6 ways to get to this, 6 ways to get to this, and 5 ways to get to this. And if you open all these, it creates an absolutely absurd board. So I'm going to try and do this on the small-ass field like this. So what you do is you start and I'm just going to actually, like, move my phone and shit. So you activate the Oracle of Zefra, and then from there you search out your Zefrath, and then you add that to your hand. So your hand is these guys. You activate the Gold Driver. Gold Driver pops the Oracle of Zefra, so it goes to the graveyard, and then you set the Metal Foes combination, and then you activate the Diagram. Diagram pops the combination. Diagram puts Masterpiece in your hand, and then combination puts the other, like, low scale Metal Foes. Like, you could, any Metal Foes besides Volflame works. I would not recommend Bismugear because you want to, like, pendulum summon back something usually. But Volflame, like, it has to be one that you can, like, pendulum summon, and Zefrath is going to be the high scale, so you can't pendulum summon Volflame. And actually, you can't do Bismugear because it's level 1. So you activate Zefrath in the other scale. And then you use Zefrath, and you take Zefra and you put it in the extra deck. And from here, you Pendulum Summon. So you put Zefra in the extra monster zone, and then you Pendulum Summon the Silvered. Zefra activates. If you didn't use Zefra Providence, you search it, and then you activate it, and you put Zefra Divine Strike in your hand. So then from here, you link these guys into Electromite. And Electromite activates, and you put Astrograph Sorcerer in your extra deck. So Astrograph goes in the extra deck. So from there, you activate Electromite, you target the Gold Driver, you destroy it, you put Astrograph in your hand, then the chain link starts where it's like link 1, Electromite, and then link 2 is Astrograph. So you summon the Astrograph. I have no room to do this. So Astrograph summons itself, and you put Gold Driver in your hand, or Silvered if that was the one you used. And then Astrograph, and then Electromite draws you a card. It's just a blank. So then, from there, you activate the Metal Foes you just searched, which is Gold Driver or Silvered, and then now you pop Zefrath. So you pop that and you set Metal Foes Fusion. And you activate Metal Foes Fusion. And with Metal Foes Fusion, you fuse Astrograph and Electromite. And you make Mithrilium. And with Mithrilium, first you Metal Foes Fusion back to the deck, and then you draw another random card, which is just another blank. So now you have 2 cards you've drawn, along with the Masterpiece and the Divine Strike you've searched, and then you use the Mithrilium to shuffle back Electromite and Combination. And you shuffle these back, and you bounce Gold Driver. Variations of this combo, you can also bounce Diagram, but if you've already used up your normal summon. But this is the most basic way to do it. You reactivate the Gold Driver, and then from here, you pop Diagram. And Diagram will set Combination again. And then here you tribute summon the Mithrilium, and tribute the Mithrilium and Combination to summon Masterpiece. And they both activate, so Mithrilium is going to summon a Metal Foes from your graveyard or extra deck. In this version, there's none in the graveyard, so you just summon Gold Driver from the extra deck. And then Combination is going to add a Metal Foes to your hand. You can add any of them. I would just add Volflame. Or you could also do Stealin', I suppose. And then from here, you put the Volflame in Scale. Volflame will pop. No. Actually, I think you have to grab Bismugear, my mistake. Yeah, but you grab Bismugear, because you're going to play Bismugear, you're going to pop Gold Driver, and you're going to set your second combination. And then you're going to use Masterpiece to banish this combination to pop this combination, and that combination will search out just any low scale, or any Metal Foes. I just always grab a low scale just because. Then you pop the Bismugear and you set full Metal Foes Fusion. So now full Metal Foes Fusion is set. And then Bismugear activates and you're going to search in the end phase. And then you set you set the Divine Strike. And then at the end phase you grab any Metal Foes. I would just grab Volflame or Stealin' or something. I guess since I don't have a combination set, I would grab Stealin' because it's the least useful Metal Foes. So this is the ending board. You have 2 cards you've drawn. You have a Metal Foes in hand and a Metal Foes on board to use full Metal Foes Fusion into Alkahest with. You have a Divine Strike for an Omni-Negate, and you have a Masterpiece that's immune to monster effects and traps. So this is a really powerful board, and you can add more to it depending on what you have. But it's the most basic version of the combo. That's what this deck can output with the right cards. And I would say that this is one of the strongest things, especially because you drew 2 off of this, but also that was a 3-card combo, so you had 5 cards in your hand. So you also have 2 other cards to work with. So and you have a loaded extra deck for if you do another Link play, or if you manage to make Vortex Dragon. There's so much this deck can do, and just by nature of being Metal Foes, it can grind, it can break boards, all that stuff. So definitely, I think this is a deck to look out for, a deck to consider. So yeah. And this is the last deck profile I'm really planning on doing. I have a Trickstar deck, but it's like super generic and like basic, and like everybody knows Trickstar, so I'm not gonna really post that. And then nothing really else like that I'm taking seriously into consideration. So yeah. And yeah, that's this deck, and then the other two decks I posted tonight. And yeah, I don't know which one I really want to focus on. I'm just messing around with all three. I feel like maybe this one, just because it's got so much good stuff going for it, but I need to like still work with it a bit. But yeah, that's the deck. Thanks for watching YouTube, and I'll see you next time.